Now, I know you probably can't believe this, but we have proof that Facebook shadow bans conservatives. I know you don't believe me. I don't believe it either. Facebook was the bastion of free speech, especially because remember, Mark Zuckerberg's he's a libertarian now. But James O'Keefe released a video just a few hours ago. Yeah, one of the software engineers or something at Meta says that basically anybody who decides to speak out against Kamala Harris, well, you get your ass shadow banned, automatically demoted. This is according to a guy named Jivan Jayawali. We'll get to that in a minute. But so that's one story. You have JD Vance sitting down with the media again, and what is arguably one of the dumbest interview exchanges I've ever seen. The person interviewing him is, it just comes across so I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous. I'll show that to you. Shocking too, job report that was released last week that's glowing with just how amazing of a job Biden and Harris have done. Well, guess what? The numbers are they're not what they seem. And crime statistics that the Biden administration has been bragging about violent crime being down, well, guess what? They're wrong. Because the FBI quietly went back and changed the crime statistics. There are so many things going on right now. So much. It's all madness. It's just hard to believe. Like we're right on the verge of the election starting. So if you could please like my video, subscribe to my channel, comment, share it. If you want me to talk about anything, let me know. Listen, I would appreciate subscriptions if you could. That would help me grow my channel. And if there's anything you would critiques, things you like, things you want me to talk more about, things that you want to come on my podcast and talk to me about, let me know. I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. I'm a historian and a writer, content creator, I guess, too. So my main gig is I'm a historian, but I also do, copywriting, things like that, pay the bills. And politics and the news is just kind of one of my obsessions, one of many of the things I obsess about. Now, you should tell me, do you still use Facebook? I mean, Instagram is very popular. I have them all. I have every single social media platform except for TikTok. I do have, I use them sporadically. I use Instagram, Facebook, X, of course, which is my main social media platform now. I do use Parler, Getter, Gab. I don't use Truth Social, actually. I don't have one of those. Not the B. I'm on there. So it's interesting because Facebook is cool for a couple things. It's cool if you are part of Facebook groups. That's about all I use Facebook for anymore. I don't really get on there and talk about my life or post pictures of my kids or anything because it's pointless. Nobody interacts with your content on there, even if you reshare stuff. It just feels more like a knockoff of X or something where your feed is just influencer accounts and bigger accounts. You don't really hear any, stuff from your friends and family anymore. It kind of seems like Facebook is nothing close to what it used to be. Now they're in the AI game, so that's big, and it's still very, very, very popular. I know tons of people are on there. I know your aunt's on there probably talking about how evil Donald Trump is. I'm sure all that stuff's going on. But I noticed back around 2020, 2019 how Facebook slowly started to kind of tick back on the amount of engagement that I had gotten. I was always very critical of government on there. It's kind of been one of my big things in my life. And I remember getting lots of engagement in the past, but man, I feel like nobody sees my stuff anymore. And it certainly feels like shadow banning is a real thing. If you want to add me on Facebook, go for it. I mean, I don't really post much on there these days. I do watch, I don't know why. I mean, I do see some Facebook videos, but I'm part of lots of groups like history groups, hunting groups, things like that. local groups. Like there are good aspects about it that's cool, but like Facebook, man, they killed their platform. They killed the platform of what it used to be. Instagram, still very popular. It's just short form video basically now. It used to be like photos and stuff. And honestly, my Instagram is so pointless. Like it's just like dumb videos. Mainly it's me and my brother. We just send each other stuff. Like we have the same sense of humor. So it's basically just like all videos about stupid stuff or sports. We're both football freaks. So like college football and NFL, like we send each other stuff there. But like Instagram just is kind of like, if I never opened it again, it doesn't benefit my life at all. It doesn't enrich my life really. It's just like dumb memes and videos about stuff like that. So, and really my brother's like the only person I interact with on there. He lives overseas in Europe, so it's like we just constantly are playing Instagram tags, sending stuff back and forth. They're owned by Meta, as is Threads. I have a Threads account, but I can't say I've ever used it. Like I posted some pictures the other night of when the Northern Lights were going around. I'm sure you saw a million people that posted those things. And I remember like I posted it and it was like, do you want to share this to Threads? And I was like, sure. And then it's like, what's the point of Threads? Isn't Threads just like Facebook? It was supposed to be an offshoot of X, but like if everything you post on Facebook or Instagram, this goes on there, what's the point? So anyway, dating back to about 2020, Facebook started to destroy their own platform, especially after the 2021 purge of Trump supporters and excuse me. Now recently, you have Zuckerberg coming out saying things like, well, I feel bad about what I did and intervening in that last election, and and he thinks Trump getting up saying fight was one of those badass things he's seen, and he openly admitted that the feds were trying to get him to shut people down, and he sent that letter to Jim Jordan. I mean, listen, the reality of it is, this is a business and a company that Mark Zuckerberg built. But just like with what happened to Twitter, corporations, it's corporate. It becomes a corporate enterprise where people come in, you get a board of directors, et cetera, and you probably lose a lot of creative control of your company. And I'm sure someone like Zuckerberg, I don't really know much about the guy, but I always assumed that he was all about the censorship and stuff, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know him personally. He probably doesn't appreciate stories like the one I'm telling you here going around, because the problem is you let these corporate types take over and they push an agenda because they have control of over a very powerful means of communication, some of the biggest communication apps in the world. Now, last night I talked about this. It's not like anything's going to surpass these platforms, right? You could try to build another Facebook, it will never take off and be what Facebook is. You could try to build another Twitter, it'll never take off and be what Twitter is. There are some things happening like in the decentralized space. Those may take off. There's like Primal, Nostr has a whole bunch of different things you can partake in on there of the Fediverse type thing, but those aren't really quite there yet. And a lot of people, that just seems like fringy, kind of more libertarian type stuff. You want to be a part of like a decentralized thing, and it's cool. I mean, I'm on those too. I'm on all of them. Minds, Primal, whatever else exists. I just try everything. And which they don't spend that much time on social media aside for X, and I don't really post on there as much. I just read and look at news articles and stuff, or news people post about the news and things like that. But Facebook was taken over by these corporate types, and then they decide to police speech on there, but they do it through hiring third-party fact checkers. Who is more likely to go on to be a moderator or a fact checker? It's not going to be your free speech absolutist. It's going to be more of the activist types. And I think the problem with platforms like Facebook, they let in activist types that don't really care about business. They don't care about profit. They don't care about any of that stuff. And if they were to drive Facebook to the ground and tank the business, it doesn't harm them all that much. They'll probably still get their money somewhere. They didn't build the thing. We're seeing this a lot in the United States, where corporations that have been around forever, companies that have been around forever, that have garnered a great reputation, or are American institutions like Disney per se, So, Disney, it's a thing that built a juggernaut of an entertainment business catering to children, and then eventually it's taken over by people that had nothing to do with creating it, don't really have a stake in whether it survives or not. I mean, yeah, they have some duty to the shareholders or whatever, but they don't really care if Disney tanks or not. To them, it's the perfect way to get across an agenda. And you have these people that are just they're activists. That's what they are, first and foremost. They're activists well before they are there for profit. Now, there are people there that desperately need the company to make a profit, but you will have people come in that will take over a corporation or a company that's been around forever and destroy it because they don't care. They don't have a stake in it. They didn't bleed and sweat and cry and they didn't do all these things to build this company up to what it was. They were sitting in some warehouse drawing Mickey Mouse cartoons. Or, they weren't Mark Zuckerberg in some Harvard dorm room coding Facebook. They weren't there. So they don't, it doesn't matter to them. They can come in, get paid a lot of money. They'll get paid probably more than enough money to where they will, not necessarily moderators, but the corporate, the board types, more than enough money, probably a lot of them. I guess I don't know how that works, because I think a lot of times like wealthy people can buy in and be on the boards, whatever. Maybe you know this better than me, but these are people that probably, whether Facebook succeeds or fails, it doesn't really matter a whole lot to them. Like I remember on Twitter, there was like a Saudi prince or something, some guy that's probably a billionaire, has more money than God, and he doesn't care if X fails or succeeds because he'll still be set regardless. Those are the kind of people you need to watch out for, because when you have all that money, you don't need to worry about providing for yourself and your family and taking care of yourself. You got time to kill. You want to try to build the world into the place you want it to be. And a lot of these people are leftists, like radical leftists. Look at this, like Soros and people like that. They're going to come in, they're going to destroy companies like Facebook, and they've done it. Now, this is the story. I would ask you to go watch the video yourself, because obviously James O'Keefe put this out. He is, he deserves the time it takes for people to watch it. But I will just give you a quick rundown of it. This guy, a meta engineer, says that anti-Kamala posts are automatically demoted. He admitted that Facebook shadow bans. He said here in this quote posted by James O'Keefe, "Say your uncle in Ohio said something about Kamala Harris is unfit to be a president because she doesn't have a child. That kind of shit is automatically demoted," reveals Meta senior software engineer Jivan Gayawali. I don't know how to pronounce that. To an undercover O'Keefe media journalist, because apparently people are so ready and willing to talk about what an asshole they are to people they barely know. It's a crazy phenomenon, especially in the tech industry and in big business and the intelligence agencies. He confirmed the person would not be notified, but would see a decline in their post engagement and impressions, explaining that Meta's integrity team, which I'm so happy they have an integrity team, is responsible for controlling content through civic classifiers, a system that shadow bans posts without notifying users. He also revealed a specialized SWAT team that was created at Meta, stating there is a SWAT team that's already set up since April, just to think about all the scenarios how the platform could be abused. And when asked if Meta is doing their due diligence to protect democracy from disinformation, he ensured that it will be demoted 100%. So when asked, you guys Meta have the ability to influence the outcome of the election, he confirmed yes. The video is about 10 minutes long. He admitted that Meta has the power to sway political outcomes, and whether or not Zuckerberg supports Meta's political influence and agenda to help the Democratic Party, he said 100%. So Mark Zuckerberg's, apology tour here sounds an awful lot like he's just being opportunistic because he's afraid of what could happen with a win not by the Democratic Party. Now, do I think Trump's going to really go after anybody? No. Trump's probably going to do a whole lot of nothing, okay? I know people have high hopes that he's going to try to fix things, turn things around, and this and that. It's just going to be like last time where he did nothing. These people deserve some type of, some type of slap on the wrist, at least, for the damage they've done and for how just one-sided it is and how desperate they are to push just one side of the equation here. I just don't understand how, Zuckerberg will go on this tour acting like he's so fed up with the way things are and he feels so guilty and he will never try to influence elections again and do things like that. Sorry, I'm trying to find a freaking cough drop. Of course, I can't find one. He'll never try to do it again, but he could just as easily be saying crap like that. Of course he is. I'm going to pause this 1 second. All right, I'm back. I had to dig out some cough drops here. But, so there you have it. He's been on this apology tour. He's pushing this whole thing. Whether he's afraid of something happening for Trump to get elected, who knows? But this guy is saying, no, Zuckerberg is on board 100% with our political agenda. If you post anything that is negative about Kamala Harris, you will immediately be shadow banned. That shit will be downranked, and you won't even know about it. Pretty incredible. Then something about the SWAT team. I don't even know what the hell that has to do with anything. Then when asked if Meta is doing their due diligence to protect democracy from disinformation, he ensured that that's all going to be demoted 100%. So anything, it's not even necessarily what their what the government promotes. It's whatever, it's at the whims of the people that work at Meta. And what do you think that they're going to lean toward when it comes to their politics? I'm sure that for a lot of the people that work there, nothing triggers them quite like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Right? Amazing. Amazing how transparent these people are. I don't understand. Why is it these people are always busted on dates with people, bragging about what an asshole they are? Is that somehow impressive? Is that just like when you're a piece of crap of a person and you're like a sociopath or something, you assume that's what other people are impressed by because that's what you like? You like being a dickhead? Cool. Good job. What you should do is moderate your platform to the point where nobody gets engagement anymore that you don't like. What happens when people don't have engagement on their profiles? Do you think they stick around and continue to use it? Nope. There you go. You lost a customer. Whether you believe it or not, when you run a social media company, you are still in the business of, winning over customers. It's how the market works. And you're just driving users away at a time when X is a free speech platform. It is a growing platform still. So you're driving people away to your competition. That's because the whole, the financial aspect of it, excuse me, my goodness, the financial aspect of it, trying to put out the best product doesn't matter to these people. To someone like this guy gets paid probably a ton of money, okay, from Meta to do his job, and he's going to get paid one way or the other, and Facebook will have its money, one way or the other, but for how long? Because you're slowly turning your platform into another left-wing echo chamber. What kind of future is that going to be like? Because we're looking at a time right now when, like I said last night, corporate media is on its way out the door. It is dying. And it's because they are, they're competing with independent podcasters and Substack writers and, bloggers and things like that. Because people are no longer interested in just being flat out lied to. And a generation of people is slowly fading out that no longer uses that product. What do you think is about to happen to Facebook? Who uses Facebook anymore? Does Gen Z use Facebook? Nope. They may use Instagram, but they don't use Facebook. I'm sure like a lot of the millennials, the problem with the millennial generation is, I guess I'm technically a millennial. I'm born, in the 80s, but I don't want to consider myself this way. But the problem with millennials is millennials need a lot of validation. It's something about that generation, my generation, where like they want the validation all the time. And I think that's the thing what Facebook was appealing for a lot of people of my generation, because they could go up there and talk about how amazing they are, or all the great things they've accomplished, and they would get instant validation all the time, right? So when you're like, cranking down the engagement on their profiles, you're probably killing a lot of these people inside because they need their validation. They're not going to get it anywhere else, right? All these other platforms are not built that way. And I think that's why a lot of people hang on to Facebook still. I still have one. Like I said, I use a lot of groups, but always the argument in the past was like, well, yeah, but I got to stay in touch with my friends, and I got to stay connected. And, and if you look at the way your friends and family traditionally use Facebook, like talking like 10 years ago, it wasn't like, hey, look at my fake, made up, glamorous life. It was like, hey, look at my real life. Pay attention to my everyday life. I don't think that's appealing to these younger generations. So as you weed out, and the problem is younger generations are becoming more and more conservative, especially when they look at the state of things, the state of the economy, how things are falling apart, what a joke the establishment politicians are. You're just killing your own business. It's eventually what you're going to do. Will Facebook ever go away? Probably not. But it'll be very hard for you to prove that you're the platform you once were. Now, And you have people like this coming out saying crap like this openly, bragging about what a prick they are. Like, oh, we just like to, destroy people's Facebook profiles, and it's great. And you have this going on a lot of social media now. It's a very powerful thing to be able to control the communication abilities of someone, their reach. And nowadays, we hardly interact with other human beings. Your social circle is largely online. Oh, I can destroy your life. I can ruin your ability to socialize with people by screwing with your Facebook account. Combating disinformation. I'm sure it's disinformation based off whatever Facebook thinks disinformation is, or Meta thinks disinformation is. The company's evolving. Like, they've gotten into short form video, which is a thing because we all have, tiny peanut sized goldfish brains, and we love videos that are 8 to 10 seconds long. And they're getting into AI because everybody and their brother has an AI company now. I used to work in pet supplies forever. I was a pet store manager, pet store district manager for pet store chains, and I did pet nutrition. My wife and I actually have a pet nutrition podcast because we're like, she's a vet student. I am a former. I did all that stuff forever, so we we do that. If you want to check it out, I can. You could send me a comment. I could show it to you, but it's a fairly new venture. But in pet supplies, back when I was in it, I stopped in 2020 after I got my master's degree and went to get my PhD. The CBD was a big thing. Like, CBD was approved for use, whatever, and it was like, oh, there was one CBD company, then 2 CBD companies, and then by like the end of my tenure working there, it was like I would get mailers every day about a new CBD company. It's like, how many CBD companies do we need? The same thing rings true with AI. Look at when you go on to Facebook, for example. I've signed up for a few different, I get sold courses a lot. I like to take courses on different things. Like, and I took a course on writing using AI as a research tool, and now I get like AI offers every 5 seconds, and it's like there's an AI for writing, an AI for editing, there's an AI for making videos, and it's like there's so many freaking AIs, and like Meta got into that game, and I know Llama is supposed to be really good, but you're expanding your business and you're evolving with the times. But you're going to lose this game eventually when young people don't use Facebook anymore. It's like millennials, and then your aunt who hates Trump that wants to get on there and post 1,000 times a day about Trump. Or it's your friend that just likes to post stupid memes all day, which I appreciate. I love the stupid memes. I love a good laugh. I get lots of dumb videos and stuff. I appreciate that. But Facebook is killing its own product. And Instagram is probably it's doing okay. But it's because it's short form video mainly now, and that's what's appealing to younger people. But you're killing Facebook, and and guys like this, excuse me. My goodness. Guys like this, it's like you're just killing your own business. Congratulations. You're a jerk off. And you seem awfully proud of yourself. All right, so let me jump on to the next thing here. So you should check that out. You should definitely go on, look into that video, and watch it from James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas. And ask yourself, maybe you tell me, why are all these people so proud of the fact that they suck as human beings? Why are you so proud of the fact that you like to destroy people's lives? Or I think a lot of them, it's like they think power is what drives them. Power is what makes them feel good and accomplished. And they assume that the people they're talking to feel the same way. And it's like, dude, you just sound like a complete asshole. It's pathetic. All right, so I wanted to show you this exchange because it was one of the dumbest things I think I watched today. I didn't really understand how to feel about this. I actually saw this on somebody put it on Substack, and here, let me hop on the phones. It's JD Vance talking to someone named Lulu. Here you go.
The reason that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
I think it's both.
I know you do. I don't think that many people who look into this agree with you, but about a third of the construction.
First of all, there you go. That's the way that they handle this. Well, everybody thinks you're lying and you're stupid, but okay, let's move on. I think most people don't agree with you. It's a bit of a straw man there. What's most people? I think most people think it's a problem. But go ahead and keep with your, cool, whatever you're wearing there, with your MacBook sitting there, acting like you're holier than thou and better than all of us. But here you go.
Workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large proportion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary that we need in this country by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. And I'm being
funny.
sarcastic.
She's looking at her. She's just like, oh, that's not a funny joke. He was trying to be quick there, and I guess it went right over her head. It's not funny from my elitist humor. In the castle, we don't laugh at jokes about peons like you.
Assumption that because a large number of home builders now are using undocumented labor, that's the only way to build homes. I think, again,
the country is much bigger.
A fundamental...
The need is much bigger. I mean, I'm not arguing in favor of...
It's much bigger. When you're talking about open borders letting in millions of people, but that's neither here nor there.
Legal immigration, I'm asking how you would deal with the knock-on effect of your proposal to remove millions of people who work in a critical part of the economy.
Well,
so
I think
read
that
your
what you would
teleprompter
do
there.
is you would take, let's say, for example, the 7 million prime-age men who have dropped out of the labor force, and you have a smaller number of women, but still millions of women prime-age who have dropped out of the labor force. You absolutely could re-engage folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
to work in construction.
Of course you could.
I mean, the unemployment rate.
I watch that reaction. Look how surprised she is that us peons and peasants would work in construction.
Age folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
to work in construction.
Of course you could.
I mean, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. Most people who
unemployment rate, Lulu,
people work construction.
But most people who don't work can't work in the regular economy. They're in the military. They're parents. They're sick. They're old. They might not want to work in construction.
The unemployment rate.
You just said
does not count labor force participation dropouts. And again, this is one of the really deranged things that I think illegal immigration does to our society is it gets us in a mindset of saying we can only build houses with illegal immigrants when we have 7 million, just men, not even women, just men who have completely dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. They won't do those jobs for non-living wages. But people will do those jobs. They will just do those jobs at certain wages. And think about this from the perspective of an American company, okay? I want them to go searching in their own country.
Let me interject and tell you how much
sometimes people who
better I am than you, and you're dumb.
Or trauma get them re-engaged in American society. We cannot have an entire American business community that is giving up on American workers and then importing millions of illegal laborers. That is what we have.
Dude, look at this chick.
Border policies. I think it's one of the biggest drivers of inequality.
She's just like, he's disgusting and he's stupid.
Who've dropped out of the labor force.
He thinks Americans want to work construction.
Job if you can just import somebody from Central America who's going to work under the table for poverty wages. It is a
now, no matter what you feel about JD Vance,
the evisceration of the.
He's very good with the media, like very good. It's satisfying to watch at times. But I watched that earlier, and not even that long ago, just a few hours ago. And I'm like, this is one of the dumbest exchanges I watched. Because this is the disconnect between the real world and the people that work in media and politics and government and things like that. We don't exist in their world, just like they don't live in ours. Yet we let them make all the decisions for us. We let them make all the policy decisions in the world to fix our lives, and we're going to vote for people based on the premise that they're going to know how to make our lives better, and they have the answers for us. Then you have people like this who sit there and she's baffled that people, Americans, would work construction. What? Are you insane? It's amazing. That little blip of that conversation to me embodies exactly how the government feels about you. There are lots and lots of people that are not illegal immigrants that work in construction. There are lots of people that would be willing to be trained properly to do jobs like construction. I think in a way, lots of us yearn for some type of, trade or something we can do constructively like that. Why do you think most people, like as a hobby, they pick up woodworking or watchmaking or, they like to wrench on cars, and it's because jobs like that, it's within us. We would enjoy work like that. And like you said, how are you supposed to compete if you show up to a job site and there's a bunch of people that are getting paid pennies because they don't have to be reported? They're not going to be reported. They should be, but they're not. You can't compete with them. And they're going to probably work harder than most of the people that show up to your job site to work. They're probably going to be far more reliable. And they're probably more skilled at the job because they've been doing it longer. And the issue is, it's very hard to pay people anything these days. I always hear this stupid leftist talking point about a livable wage. We need to pay people a livable wage. And it's this premise that like the people that we work for, they just like to exploit labor. They're just rich people who steal money. I mean, I worked in, like I said before, pet supplies. And I worked for family-owned pet stores. And I've met plenty of people in my life that thought like, oh, well, that guy the owner, he's just super rich and pays you guys crap because, he just exploits labor. And it's like, no, the guy can't pay his mortgage. Okay. He can barely pay rent on the store. One of the guys I worked for, he kept extra people on staff to ensure that customer service was the top priority in his business. And he couldn't pay people crap. I mean, he couldn't pay himself crap. He paid you what he could, but it's like, it's not like the livable wage thing is because it's just greedy capitalists hoarding money. And the government is actively destroying the economy, making it harder for anybody to ever get paid what they call a livable wage. You can't just say, all right, business, you have to pay your staff $20 an hour or else you're going to get, fined or whatever. Or we'll shut you down, or I don't know how that works if you're like not abiding by the laws. And okay, well then you're guaranteeing that you're only going to hire people that are willing to take under the table money that are cheap, or you're guaranteeing that unemployment's going to be higher because a wage is a price that you're willing to pay for labor, for the job they do. And so he has a point there, like, listen, if we were willing to pay people, decent money, they'd be more willing to show up and do these jobs. It's a mixed situation because the business owner can't afford to pay people what they want to be paid or should be paid. And it's because the economy sucks and it's insanely expensive, like building stuff, like in construction, it's insanely expensive. It's insanely expensive because of materials. It's insanely expensive because of, regulations. It's insanely expensive for all these reasons. And on top of that, you have to pay labor so much money. 1 second. So it's really hard to, it's hard to be able to pay people what they deserve to be paid. That's on the government, who destroys our economy. And then on top of that, they let in all these people that are just going to, instead of giving people the opportunity to work in these positions and learn the trade and what have you, it's like, well, they're hiring, they're not going to hire Americans. They're not going to hire people that work there and hire young people and train them up in these trades and train them up to do this stuff. And it's just it's a bad situation all around. And, we are facing a massive shortage across the board for everything, not just construction, which is, it can be real bad with the shortage of people we have that are willing and able to do construction. You're dealing with a shortage of, you should see what the doctor shortage looks like. It's going to be to the point where medical schools are just going to have to start accepting anybody that's willing to apply to them. Doctor shortages, veterinarian shortages. There's going to be teacher shortages. There's going to be police shortages. We have a huge problem where people are not, like you said, are not engaged in the workforce. And she's like, "Wow, it's because people are old or sick." Or it's like, yes, we have a lot of sick people in this country, a lot, and a lot of that is because nobody is taking the time or the effort to make Americans healthy. And that's a big problem. Like, working construction is a very, very physically taxing job. It's hard on your body. If you want to do it for a long time, you're probably going to end up with, permanent aches and pains and, might fall and break a few bones here and there, things like that. It can be a very rewarding career financially and, just for the way you feel about yourself. You're out there working hard, you're accomplishing things, you're watching your work progress in front of you. But, you are trying to, you're going to need to have people that are healthy and willing to do those jobs. And I know it's kind of a circular way of talking about this, but it's going back to the whole point of the conversation was, yes, we have a problem with illegal immigration because it's taking over American jobs. Agreed. But it just was interesting, her attitude toward people that are willing to work construction. Like, somehow that's beneath Americans to work construction. I'll show you in a second here the Biden administration's new labor statistics, because apparently he is president still. They were bragging about what an amazing jobs report that we recently saw. And it's like, it's all just bullcrap. Like it always is. It's just bullshit always. And they'll go back and they'll change the numbers, but also the number of jobs that people are able to work now are like government jobs, or they're not, they're like part-time, jobs like this. And I just, like, it's just crazy. It's crazy what they've done to our country. They really, it's been, I will not pin this on the people of this country. I will not pin this. I'm going to blame it on the people coming over here illegally, because it's like they're being let in. And they're getting hired and they're working these jobs. Like, I can't fault them for that. It's the failures of the people that lead this country. And they're only going to make things worse. They're going to continue to print money. They're going to continue to have their massive budgets. They're going to continue to fight their wars. They're going to continue to leave the borders open. They're going to continue to try to subsidize everything and have these policies to drive, production in field A, B, and C, and that's not going to incentivize anything other than people that just want to steal the government's money. And like, we're only going to be left at square one with the debt being built up further. Like, we are in a bad cycle of things. And that conversation epitomizes the mindset of the establishment right now, of the government, of permanent Washington. It's just this thing where it's like, whoa, like people want to work construction. We need the illegals to do that. Americans aren't going to want to do that. We need people. It's like, dude, you sound so elitist and disgusting. There's some studies I read a few episodes ago about how much money people actually are making, and it's like, people are barely scraping by, even if they're considered in like the middle class. The lower end of the middle class makes barely above poverty. It's, you guys are speaking. You wonder why the Democrats are losing the working class, why they're losing the people that they've always historically pandered to. And it's because of that attitude. Like, the majority of Americans, are struggling to get by right now. And the majority of Americans are willing to work jobs like the ones that you're sitting there acting like it's beneath you and everybody else to work. Just to work construction? Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable elitist. I can't believe people think like that. I can't. I grew up, I had a lucky childhood. My parents were successful, but I went off to college, and the day I graduated, I was no longer, I was an adult now. I have to take care of myself. And I was sold the lie my whole life about, you got to get a degree. You go to college, get a degree, you'll to have a good life. And I got out of college, and man, I remember thinking with my bachelor's degree, everybody will be wanting to hire me. And I couldn't find a job to save my life until I found a job making $8 an hour making smoothies at a smoothie cafe, making pizzas, then delivering pizza. For years I did these menial jobs. Then I worked in warehouses, got into pet supplies, eventually made a manager. It took me years to make $15 an hour with a bachelor's degree. And then, like an idiot, I decided to go back to school and got a master's and a PhD because, I don't know. But no regrets. But the years I spent just crawling my way up and then watching them just destroy it all before me. We have these wars we're fighting, and then you destroy the economy with the housing crash, and then finally I get up and I'm starting to make a little bit of money, and then you pull the rug out when it comes to COVID, and then we're watching our money being shipped off to Ukraine, and it's like, I'm so tired of these people destroying the country around me. And I just sit there and listen to you have that crap attitude about people that work construction. That is, to me, your typical Democrat's state of mind. Now, when it comes to the Republicans, I don't really care about them because they don't really do anything, honestly. Where the Democrats are just simply destructive. And that is the attitude of a lot of them. Ew, who, peasants that would want to do these jobs. And it's like, have you ever struggled a day in your life? Like, do you understand, and a lot of them, they probably had to work their way up to where they are. They found success. And it's like, what? I'm in the club now. I don't need to worry about that stuff. I think about these people. That's why you get lectured by people like Obama being like, well, you don't want to vote for Kamala because she's a woman. Dude, how dare you? Like, literally, you don't know anything about the people you're trying to talk to. You're sitting there trying to act like you're on their level, and you're reprimanding them because they don't buy into the intersectionality that you do. This idea that somehow that makes her qualified, or that's the reason why people don't like her. It's like, no, because we've seen you live up in that pedestal and look down upon us forever. And remember what happened? Remember during COVID when you had to sit home and you couldn't work, and you were being lectured about how you need to stay inside? You can't talk back. That's misinformation and disinformation, and you're dangerous, even though you can't afford to put food on the table. How many times have you got to see politicians, or not Hollywood, and actors and musicians preach to you about Trump's a danger. You need to vote for Harris. You need to vote for more of the Biden administration. Well, like, you can't afford to feed your kids. You can't put gas in the tank of your car. You can't afford your rent because it keeps getting jacked up. And then you wonder why you're losing people, why there's no trust in media, why there's no faith in the government. You wonder why that happens. And then, for a lot of people, the one voice is that, the voice they have is, I can get online and spread the word about how horrible things are. Oh, no, just kidding. Because you got dickheads like this guy at Facebook who are going to shadow ban you. And Mark Zuckerberg, the guy says, is 100% on board. Are you shocked? Because I'm not. All right, so a few more stories here. Probably end up going a little bit longer than the hour. I always tell myself I'm going to go for an hour, and I'll go for an hour and a half. But if I just sat here and did this, I could go for probably like a day without stopping. That's how I am with this stuff. That's how I am with, like, if I sit down to write, I try to write I try to do the thing where, like, all right, I'm going to write for like an hour in the morning every day. Before, like, I do writing for work. And it's like, the problem with writing is once I start, I can't stop. So, like, we have comprehensive exams for a PhD where you, like, have to read a bunch of books for a semester and then write a whole thing about it. And you have like 6 hours to do so. In like 6 hours, I would turn in 30 pages of written stuff. And it's like, I can't stop. It just, my muse and my brain just kicking up. I'm in a hypnotic state and I could cruise. That's how it is with this stuff. I could sit here and just do this for hours. So I always like, I'll do an hour. No, it's going to be way longer than that. But tonight I have a few more things I wanted to get into before I dip out. So the FBI quietly revises violent crime stats. This is from Real Clear Investigations. So the FBI originally released the final crime data for 2022. In September of 2023, it reported that the nation's violent crime rate fell by 2.1%. This quickly became and remains a Democratic Party talking point to counter Donald Trump's claims of soaring crime. But the FBI has quietly revised those numbers, releasing new data that shows violent crime increased in 2022 by 4.5%. It says here, discovered the change through a cryptic reference on the FBI website that states, the 2022 violent crime rate has been updated for inclusion in the CIUS 2023. No mention that the numbers increased. You actually do download the data. So the actual changes in crimes are extensive. The updated data for 2022 report that there were 80,000 more violent crimes than in 2021, an additional 1,699 murders. Onward and onward. You can check this out. Without the increase, the drop in violent crime in 2023 would have been less than half as large, only 1.6% instead of the reported drop of 3.5%. And this is what I was going to get at next. But the FBI isn't the only government agency that's been revising data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics massively overestimated the number of jobs during the year that ended March by 818,000 people. People are also underreporting crimes. Most crimes go underreported, with only about 45% of violent crimes, 30% of property crimes brought to the police's attention, according to the National Crime Victimization Survey. It only tracks reported incidents. So there you have it. Things did not get better, they got worse. If you would like to check out this article, go to realclearinvestigations.com. They have like a whole bunch of them. There's Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Investigations, Policy Markets. There's even a Real Clear History. Click on that, like it pulls up. It's pretty cool. They got a lot of good stuff on there. They have polling and all types of stuff. So Real Clear Florida has its own thing, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's right here. It's the top story of the day by John Lott. Now, this should be surprising in no way whatsoever, but will this be reported by the media? I can give you a hell no. The media will not be talking about this. The media has an election to win for their favorite candidate. And, excuse me, that's more important for them to win this election. They can't let their candidate lose. So they can't talk about this. Can somebody please tell me where the Biden and Harris administration had any success whatsoever? Crime did not go down. Violent crime went up. Employment rates were not that great. They were all doctored and fake. All of the major spending programs failed. They did not accomplish anything. The border was a complete disaster. We are closer to World War III than we ever were before. The economy is terrible, no matter how much they try to tell you it's not. Gas prices are extremely high. Food prices are extremely high. Infrastructure is falling apart. I mean, it's been a catastrophe. And they want people to go out there and vote for her. She is this administration. It's wild. It's wild that, it's wild that the government agencies are like on board with just faking stuff to make that, to make you vote for these Democrat idiots or these, uniparty establishment morons. These people that are terrible at everything. Like they want you all aboard. They're trained to vote for these people. So they'll lie to you. How many times have you been hearing them run around bragging about how amazing they've done when it comes to crime? Remember Gavin Newsom, talking about how in California crime is way lower than it is in Florida. It's like, yeah, when you like basically get rid of crime as a thing altogether, that's what happens. It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? How things change like that. But, you guys are doing a bang up job at sucking. I don't know how people buy into this. And the scary thing is, you could show hardcore Kamala supporters everything that administration is bombed at, which is everything they've tried to do. You could show them the real crime numbers, the real job numbers, the real number of illegals and violent criminals let into this country, and terrorists, and the real number of money blown, and the failures of all the infrastructure bills and all that. And they will not care. They will vote Democrat no matter what. It's like, do you not have kids and grandkids and like you don't care about their future or something? Well, it's because they don't see it that way. But there you have it. Clear as day. They are lying to you about crime. Now, let's pull up another thing. This is from the Mises Institute. Government jobs and part-time work are behind the latest job gains, by Ryan McMakin. Guy writes a lot of good stuff. I highly recommend you check out Mises.org. Libertarian stuff, Austrian economic stuff. Now, just last Friday, the jobs report said, oh, things are amazing, right? Well, the big 254,000 job gain is just one small part of the overall employment report. It shows us total jobs, whether full-time or not. Most of these jobs are part-time jobs, and most of the jobs are being pushed by government job growth. The private sector, has stagnated. According to the household survey, which measures employed people rather than jobs, part-time employment over the past year rose by 813,000. Full-time employment fell by 485,000. The number of workers with more than one job is at the highest ever. There's last month's very large surge in government employment. While we did see growth in employed persons for September, we also saw that government employment rose to the highest level ever. September's month-over-month increase was 785,000, which was the largest increase ever recorded outside the 2020 pandemic. This is especially noteworthy when we find that private sector employment increased by a paltry 133,000, a small fraction of the government job number. So there you have it, folks. They're lying to you about the jobs. They're lying to you about the crime. They're lying to you about the government infrastructure. They're lying to you about the wars. They're lying to you about... Facebook is lying to you about caring about free speech. Or, Zuckerberg is. They're lying to you about everything. The media is lying to you about everything. But they should be the ones that have the right to determine what is misinformation or not. What is the truth or not. They deserve the right to tell you what that is. Who are you to think that you can figure that out? It shows you how desperate they are to win this election. And when they know they suck at everything, and they know they have no real good policies going forward, and the only thing they can run on is what a piece of crap Donald Trump is and how dangerous he is, it makes you wonder, why do you so desperately want this job? Because you want the power it gives you. And that is it. You can't be like, well, we want it because we know what's best for America and we care about Americans. Well, you don't. You'll look at these reports and go, wow, we are terrible at everything, but we deserve your vote. We deserve to be in the White House still. Joe Biden's on vacation. Kamala Harris is out doing campaign gigs while the country has been swallowed up by natural disasters, and the whole thing has been awful. You have transportation disasters, and you got Pete Buttigieg or whatever, just he's off doing his thing, who cares? You had the atrocious withdrawal from Afghanistan. I mean, come on, add it to the list. And on this desperate need to win the election, they fudge the numbers by just giving a bunch of people government jobs. Congratulations, Americans. You're paying these people to work for you. Aren't you happy? And you should praise Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for creating these jobs. So you should praise them for agreeing to spend a bunch of your money to pay these people. Aren't we awesome? I'm so sick of it. I get these. You should see how many freaking mailers I get for this election. How many text messages I get a day. It's insanity. Today, text messages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 text messages today about the election. Then I get maybe 4 or 5 things in the mail a day. And a lot of it is, you should vote for me because I signed into law this, or I signed into existence this thing, this program, this policy. I should vote for you because you sat down and signed a piece of paper to give away a bunch of money that's not yours. Wow. Whatever could I do without you? Are you fed up with this? I don't know how you couldn't be. I mean, you're just being lied to all the time. And then you get the self-righteous, holier than thou media and politicians telling you, you're a bad person. That's why you won't vote Democrat. Because you're a bad person. Because you have biases. And that's why you won't vote for us. We're awesome. Even though we suck at everything, we're awesome. Sickening. All right, well, there's just a couple more stories on here, but I'll just blow through these real quick. Adam Kinzinger is going to join Harris for a Pennsylvania rally. Apparently, this guy, he was a Republican, and now he's a whiny little baby. He seems so slighted, like something happened. Like he went up to ask for a job or a position, and they said no, and he's bitter about it forever. He's just towing the line. He's towing the line. He's repeating the talking points. This guy is unreal. And then you got so Liz Cheney, this was a story earlier. She had actually contacted January 6 witnesses behind the lawyer's back. So they recently messages were obtained by Barry Loudermilk. This is a story from Just the News by John Solomons and Stephen Richards from yesterday. So she was communicating with the witness without the lawyer being present or knowing. And let's see here. There were some other parts of this that were interesting. So, Loudermilk's investigations obtained communications between Griffin and Hutchinson, suggesting Cheney was aware her contact with potential witness represented by counsel might be problematic. The person she was contacting was Cassidy Hutchinson. She agreed to keep our conversation totally confidential. She said she admires you, could tell you wanted to do the right thing from your testimony, Griffin wrote in an April 28th signal message to Hutchinson. So, after a phone call later that day, Hutchinson sent a screenshot to Cheney containing the private advice of her then lawyer Passatino, who appeared to be seeking advice from his client on a strategy for Hutchinson's further interactions with the J6 committee. So I just want to see what exactly was said here. The encrypted messages with Griffin also show that Hutchinson appeared to be satisfied with Passatino's work representing her for the January 6th committee. So basically, she was trying to, you know, nudge things along. Hutchinson would alter several components of her original testimony, provide new accounts that would feature prominently in the final report, including some that were disputed by other witnesses. So Liz Cheney is it's pretty wild to me that they are very proud of getting people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Dick Cheney, you know, these establishment people that have been rejected by Republicans all aboard. Why is Liz Cheney no longer in office? Oh, it's because she got dumped. That's supposed to win Republicans over? I'm a Republican and I'm voting for Kamala. Like one of those type of people. Congratulations. You're an idiot. You know, Liz Cheney's, the reason why she's supporting Kamala Harris is because she knows Kamala Harris will keep the wars going for her. Because the Cheneys love war. They love blowing people up. They love our constant proxy wars and our constant fighting and our constant, you know, interjecting in America and world matters. And that's why she's supporting Kamala Harris. And the left is proud of this fact. When she would do anything of desperation to make sure Trump is not president, including illegally contacting witnesses behind her lawyer's back. And, you know, we're at this point now where somehow Liz Cheney is supposed to make you want to, you know, go join the Harris team, the Harris squad. And it's like, Liz Cheney is exactly the reason why people don't want to vote for Kamala Harris. It's people like her. She represents the establishment to a T. And like her dad, I mean, her dad just seems like an outright evil person. And they're proud of the fact that they're all aboard. And like, this is the messaging that they continue to send out. To have Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney supporting Harris, and then she's going to endorse Harris, and Harris is going to fall into line with those very same people, like that reporter who thought that people that work construction, you know, are disgusting to her. She's appalled that people would work construction jobs. Those are the kind of people that support Kamala Harris. In a world where we're all hurting right now, people that actually live in the real world, struggling, you know, fearful for the future, not because we're worried about a dictatorship and all that dumb shit, because we're actually fearful that these people are going to destroy any future we have in this country. And you want me to care that Dick Cheney is endorsing you, when a big reason why the world sucks right now, why the country sucks, is because of him. And his daughter's just a legacy of him. So it all comes down to this. You can either support these people or not. And they think they're better than you. They think they live in a league above you. And they don't understand you. They don't understand anything normal people like you or I go through. They don't care to. To them, they can go act like J6 is the worst thing that's ever happened. And it's like, listen, people have moved on because life has been really hard for them. And they're going to continue to lie to you. They're going to try to continue to bump numbers and pretend like things are awesome because they're weeks away from the election. And I'm terrified about what's going to happen, because no matter who gets elected, it's going to probably be ugly. And I sincerely feel like if we get a Harris election, or Harris wins, like, ooh, you better buckle in, because it's going to be a disaster. A disaster. But Liz Cheney will be happy, and that reporter from the New York Times will be happy, and Mark Hamill will be happy, and Stephen King will be happy, and Bruce Springsteen will be happy, and Obama will be happy. All the people that already have shitloads of money and can just, go around living life, and they don't have to go to the grocery store and spend money like us normal people do, they'll be happy. You'll just continue to live in this swamp they've created for us. All right, I'm going to call this video there. Thank you for joining me on Join or Die. If you could, please like my video, subscribe to my channel, share my show, comment, follow me on X. I am Dr. J.A. Roberts on X, or at Join or Die News, capital J, capital N, capital D, all one word. J, capital D, capital N, all one word. If you don't want to remember that, check out the link in my description. If you want to help me out, subscribe. If you want to leave me, some nice reviews or comments, whatever, I appreciate it. Help my channel grow. Times are tough. And this is like therapy for me. So thank you for being my therapists, listening to me ramble. And so I want to discuss with all of you the breaking story, the breaking news of my next venture. For those that don't know, I'm a historian. I said that earlier. And this may seem totally unrelated to what I'm doing in these videos, but my areas of study are military history, political history, and economic history. But military history is my major specialty, and I wrote a book about Civil War medicine. I know, weird, right? What is this related to at all with this? I'm going to start doing a Civil War medicine podcast, hopefully starting like next week. So if that sounds interesting to you, let me know. If there's any Civil War medical topics you'd like to discuss, I have a lot of them, because it's a thing I've done a ton of work on. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. I will probably likely do a podcast and do a course on the subject for people that just want to quick work through. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. That's my next venture. So, hoping to get my book finally wrapped up and published there. And so yeah, first to hear it here. I'm committing to it. I wrote my dissertation on the topic in my book, and I finished it up in May, and I was like, oh, man, I was so burned out on Civil War medicine. I needed a break, and I'm finally coming back around to doing it, because I wrote my book about medical education before the Civil War, how it affected like guys going to serve as doctors in the war, and I got fried out, on it. So I want to move on now and start doing it again. So that's my next venture. Thank you for watching my videos and listening to my rambling. And if you would like to check out either of that stuff, let me know. All right. God bless. Have a great night.